All right, this appears to be working. Hello, everybody. Mostly to you Tumbler Ridge people. I am here with Chad Anderson. Chad Anderson is the board chair for School District 59. He's been doing that for about 8 years. He's a technologist. Um, that's kind of where I know him from, is talking about computers and websites. New Harvest Media, is that still a going concern?
Yeah, it is.
All right. He builds websites and does technology stuff. But he's here in his capacity as board chair for School District 59. So Chad, welcome to the program. I was going to say, but this isn't really a program. This is just talking with you.
Yeah, thank you, Trent. I appreciate an opportunity to bring a bit of an update from the board on what we've been doing here in Tumbler Ridge to respond to this the tragedy that's taken place in the last week and a half.
All right. Well, I mean, I don't, like I say, I don't really have a structure for these things. So if you want to just start telling me
Sure.
what you want to say, I will. If I have questions, I will interrupt. Feel free to. This is more a factual interview, right? You're here to tell me the facts. But if you have stories to share with the people, feel free to do so. So.
Great. Yeah, thank you, Trent. So obviously, we have to begin by just expressing my condolences and my thoughts for the families of those whose loved ones were taken last Tuesday. Our thoughts have been with them this whole time and the forefront of the work that we've done in responding to this tragedy. Our staff have worked so hard to take care of the families and provide whatever support that we could for those that have been affected, both with the loss of a loved one and those that were present in the school that day at TRSS. And so we're thinking of them, and of course Maya and Paige in their recoveries, just hoping and praying for great news for Maya as she progresses forward. So I know I speak on behalf of the board and everyone in the district that is thinking of them daily for sure. And also want to take the opportunity to recognize all of those students both in TRSS and here at TRE and families that have been affected by what took place, whether they were present in the building at TRSS or here. We know that just everyone has been affected in the community, and we want to again provide those mental health and counseling services for our families, our staff that were that serve the community here in Tumbler Ridge. So if I can, I also want to take some time to thank all of our staff that have helped in the response as well, and thank those that have reached out to us from across the country. We'll have to find some way to share this, but we've received letters of support and expressions of care from really across BC and Canada. I think I have letters from Manitoba, Ontario, New Brunswick, so we'll have to find a way to share those at some point in the future. But when we, just to talk a little bit about our initial response in this crisis, the district from the start was focused on, like I say, serving the families that suffered so much last Tuesday, and so we had counseling and mental health supports set up really at like 8 a.m. or 10 a.m. Wednesday morning, so that was available right away with our own counseling teams from the district, and then obviously the province and Northern Health have brought in other teams as well to beef that up at the community center, so that has been present for families very early on, and just want to thank those that are providing those services. It's really tough work, and but really crucial to help people recover from this trauma. And then very promptly on Thursday we started to see other leaders, obviously the Premier came to town and wanted to meet with the Board of Education, so we obviously took that opportunity to meet with the Premier and bring to him what we knew at that stage in terms of what we would need to serve the community. And just want to thank the Premier and the Minister of Education and the Minister of Infrastructure as well. They have all been involved in so quickly mobilizing all the help that we could possibly need, and obviously you know, that's been visible both in the mental health and counseling area. I'll also want to talk a little bit about the Safer Schools Together team that was supporting the district here as well. And then of course, Ministry of Infrastructure just was amazing, gathering up the portables that we now see being installed. This is kind of the first phase single wide portables that are coming in with a second phase on the way later. But I can say with great thankfulness that the province has really been behind us and supported us and provided everything that we've needed. And then on Friday, obviously, the meeting with the Prime Minister before the vigil was an opportunity for our board, you know, a little later on in the process to bring some concerns to him and just speak to him briefly about what we needed here in Tumbler Ridge and our goals for the recovery as well. So that was important. And then a number of our trustees were able to attend both Thursday and Friday, and then the vigil on Friday night. Obviously that was just certainly a historic event and a memorable event to see that many people out and grieving and mourning together, and obviously that show of unity from the party leaders, but also from the community. It was an honor that we to be there, honored to be there, but wish we didn't have to be there. So, so that was kind of the first few days. Our district staff worked like 12 and 14 and 16-hour days with supporting the RCMP in their investigation. And then, as I mentioned, we had this team provided by the province from Safer Schools Together, and they provide us with, even before this event, they lead the province in terms of threat assessment and worrisome online behavior threat assessments, and unfortunately they have expertise in dealing with this sort of tragedy after it happens. And so their team has been involved in just any number of tragedies such as this across Canada, and unfortunately more often unfortunately for them, more often in the United States. So, so they were on the ground here Wednesday night with the Associate Deputy Minister of Education, and were basically camped out here in TRE for the rest of the week, working on just pages and pages and checklists of things that need to be done, people that need to be taken care of, and responding to the situation and doing everything possible to bring relief and comfort, and making sure that everything that we do moves forward in what they call a trauma-informed excuse me, trauma-informed way, so that we know that a lot of healing has to take place after this, and sometimes people's best intentions don't always produce the best results, and so these folks are trained in caring for people in traumatic situations, and so they're very careful at every step to make sure that we weren't doing more damage after the fact. So, you know, just one, it seems like a trivial example in a way, but one example of what they did when they were reuniting staff with their vehicles, they had staff come here and bring keys to TRE, and then they sent Safer Schools staff over to collect the vehicle and bring it back here so that so that staff members from TRSS didn't have to set foot on the property over there and you know, kind of deal with the memories of that day. So there were so many things that they took care of for us in terms of communications and the crisis response that were much appreciated. They worked amazing hours, day and night, and like I say, they were here till really to the end of the week, and then another of their team was present, I think, till this morning, and as he was departing, another set of team members is here to work with youth in coming days. So got to see them playing basketball with some young people in the gym here at TRE earlier. So that expertise from Safer Schools Together, we wish it was never needed, but we're certainly glad that they were here to help us when we needed them, and so that just like I say, fantastic amounts of work took place from TRE here, and we had district staff out, several out every day from Dawson Creek. A few are now that the hotel has a bit more space, actually staying in community and serving families here in Tumbler Ridge as our response continues. So one of the big jobs that Safer Schools Together worked on was returning personal items to students. So collecting even cell phones and charging them up so we could tell whose was whose, and emptying lockers and returning all those personal items to students. And so it's amazing the amount of work that is involved in doing that. And so one of that Safer Schools team was responsible for that, just going in and out of the school, you know, in the days after. Extremely difficult work, and we all owe that person a huge debt of gratitude for the work that he did.
Difficult psychologically, I would think, as you know, grabbing a cell phone is not exactly, you know, they don't weigh that much, but it's from a psychological point of view.
Yeah, it would have been a difficult place to be, and just the workload that team and our district team put in over the last whatever we're at, 9 or 10 days is remarkable. Obviously, I haven't taken an opportunity to thank the first responders that saved lives that day and rushed into the building at great danger. And you know, we can't say enough about the importance of that and how lives were saved by the bravery of those that went in and stopped the perpetrator and provided assistance to those that had been wounded. So we appreciate their support and wish them all the best in their recovery from, you know, something that you can never prepare for properly. So so there's just so many organizations and people to thank. I don't know how we'll ever be able to do that properly as a district, because we have had so much help come in from across the province, and now as we're 9 or 10 days into this process, our concern as trustees really is for our team here in district that has been going, like I say, 12 and 14 and 16 hours a day for all that time. Sadly, district office staff don't work on a shift schedule. They don't shift change and, you know, tag in, tag out. They've been going continuously through that time. So we just can't have them hit a wall after all the work that they've done, and it has been difficult work taking care of families and staff members that have been through so much. And so it's a huge burden for our staff, and you know, as trustees, we just need to make sure that we're giving our district office team and our superintendent the opportunity to get a little bit of rest. It's hard for them because they want to serve families and keep going, but you know, the workload that they've taken on and kept going with is, it's just unsustainable over the long term. And so we'll need to make sure that they get all the help that they need with their work. So, so as I say, all of our efforts as a district and from our staff have been focused on that trauma-informed recovery, so that counseling and mental health support, like services for students and families at the community center, and we have another counseling option for staff as well that we're encouraging them to take care of. Obviously, people are anxious to hear about return to school, and every day that has been the work of the team here is preparing for reopening the elementary school, and then eventually these portables for secondary school students. The other work that we have had ongoing in the building here today is that Mr. Harper from our distributed learning school has been taking registrations from those that don't expect that they'll want to be back in a classroom for the next little while, so that they can do like online or DL, distributed learning, distance learning, with the district, and they can do that as little as long as they want. So if they want to, when they get comfortable with the idea of being back in classrooms, then kids will be able to transition back into the classroom as they like. But some folks do want to get that distributed learning going to give the kids a bit of a schedule. So that's happening right now, and all kinds of work is being done to prepare for reopening, and we do hope to have news on that soon. It's just a matter of the vast amounts of work that have to be done to prepare for that, and to make sure that staff and students and families are going to feel comfortable and safe when they get back to these buildings, and that they have begun to recover, as they come back to school here. So one element of that is that the Safer Schools Together team are putting together some information and presentations for parents that they'd like to deliver before school resumes. So we'll have information going out on that very soon here. So that will encourage people to take advantage of that, so that parents are able to have good conversations with their students, as we prepare for the return to school. But I think a big focus for us is recognizing that everyone in Tumbler Ridge and in these two schools had a different experience that day, and has different levels of trauma and a different recovery time, and recovery won't always feel linear, that 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or maybe it'll feel like 2 steps backward, 1 step forward some days. And we just have to be patient with people and understanding that is going to be a natural part of that process. And so as we plan for that return to school, we're trying to keep that in mind, that some staff members will want to gradually return, or they will, there'll be good days and bad days, and we have to be prepared for that so that we can provide that safe environment for students every day.
Well, before we got started, we talked about the whole nobody will be forced back to school. It wasn't no students, it was nobody. So what have we heard? Do we have an idea of where the teachers are at yet, or is it just going to be like, sort of, okay, we're opening today and we'll see who shows up?
It won't be that, that's
No.
for sure. So yeah, that communication with staff has been ongoing, and making sure that they have, as I've said many times, the counseling and mental health supports that they need to have access to, and we're trying to move as carefully as possible, because as everybody knows, we never had extra staff in School District 59, not for many years. We've had staff shortage for a long time. So we've always valued human beings here, and we need to take care of them, because it's not about rushing towards the first day back at the expense of how are people later on in the spring? How are people by May and June? We need to make sure that we're taking care of people so that they can heal and recover and grieve as they need to. So, in a way, it's inspirational to see the buildings, the portables going up so quickly out there, but we have to recognize that healing of human beings takes a lot longer than rolling in trailers. We're being mindful of that, and our district team is working with staff to see who will be ready to come back. But we also want to make sure that they're supported. So there are some plans in place for that, and that's part of the time that we're taking, is to make sure that if people do need to come back gradually, or they have good days and bad days, that they're okay to step back if they need to at a certain point. And so I know that Tumbler Ridge residents and students and families are going to understand that and be patient with our staff as they come back from this situation. So
while we're here, are we talking? We're talking around the issue of when to reopen, because obviously there isn't a date set in stone. But do we have kind of a round figures? Are we talking days, weeks, months, years?
Yeah, I think it is days, but yeah, more details to come in the next few days about some of those resources for parents particularly, and obviously we're communicating with staff internally in terms of the resources that are available to them. But we're not rushing back, so I don't think months or weeks are the right timeline to think about, but it will be a gradual process, and we're just going to rely on everybody's patience. Yeah.
I mean, let's address sort of the physical issue. I mean, we're talking kind of around the emotional issue, but the physical issue, I mean, I was out there an hour ago and they were still, like, the portables were flying through the air. They're not set up. Do you have a time frame on when those are going to be ready physically to actually start welcoming people back?
Yeah, not a specific timeline at this stage. I think it's likely that the buildings will be ready before the people are. Like, as I say, the infrastructure, it's amazing what humans can do with their hands and with machines, but the healing is going to take longer, so we're prepared for that and recognizing that from the outset.
Okay. Have you guys looked at what it's going to mean for the school year, especially for grade 12? Because there's always that, we're taking 2 weeks off, 3 weeks off, a month off. There are some kids out there who, despite what happened, might be wanting to get back to school so they can graduate this year. Mm-hmm. Do we know how this is going to affect sort of the end of the year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do have an unfortunate reference from about 6 years ago when we did have to kind of redesign a school system in a hurry, and it's not many weeks different actually in March 2020 that we had a big reset of how education worked. And so our staff worked really hard through that time and got students to the finish line then. So I have no doubt that'll be the case here again. This is a crisis of a totally different kind, of course. But that, for students that really are ready to put their minds, back to work with education, that's why that DL option is being offered first off, and people can, hop into that, and then, like I say, when the classroom's open, if they'd like to slide back into the classroom, we'll help them with that for sure.
Okay, and I mean, and we also have kind of two different moving targets. We have TRE, we have TRSS, right? TRE, I saw kids entering today, not for official school, but they're, kids are coming in. So let's focus on TRE for just a second. Like, I suspect that the plan might be to open a little earlier for TRE. What's the difference between the two?
Obviously, the facility is easier, and it was a different experience of that day last Tuesday. But we can't underestimate the impact here at TRE on staff and students as well. You know, a member of the student family here was taken, and so and obviously, you know, this building was in secure and hold for many hours that day, and Mr. Shedden and the team, you know, made the best of that situation, and all the food that's in schools now, you know, came in handy on that occasion, and everyone was well fed through that long and scary afternoon. But so it is different than TRSS, but that I don't know if we can say that it's just easier to flick the lights on here, and it's not simple by any means. So, but the facilities are here, and yeah. So we'll see how that unfolds.
Okay. Now you had kind of a list. Have we hit the end of the list?
Basically, I think I should probably explain as well just kind of the short-term, medium-term, and long-term options that or plans for the district. And obviously, the short-term infrastructure solution, you're seeing those portables go in right now, and they'll be in business, you know, and services will be installed in those very promptly. So those trailers are coming in soon. They're the kind of single wide trailers, ATCO trailers that everyone can see at the moment. After that are more typical double wide classroom portables, which you know, we have some of those in Dawson Creek for when a school kind of outgrows its bounds, and while we're waiting on an expansion, you know, those double wide portables feel more like a normal classroom dimensions, and so they'll be more comfortable for the medium term. And then the issue of what to do about the TRSS building is really a much more long-term issue, and so we're waiting for guidance from Safer Schools Together. Again, like I say, they are kind of that post-trauma support as well, or post-crisis support. So they're going to do an assessment of the building and what took place there that day as to whether that building could conceivably be repurposed, or is there anything to be done with it. So some school facilities that have been through these sort of tragedies, you know, sometimes they're able to shut down a wing or remove a building, or, you know, sometimes there are remedial steps that we can take. But we're waiting on that advice from Safer Schools Together, and for their advice on how to appropriately and thoughtfully, and again in that trauma-informed way, involve the community in decisions about that building. So obviously we don't want to do something that pits members of the community against each other on some sort of political debate about a building. Like we just don't want to inflict that pain on the community. So they will give us advice on how best to go forward with that. And I think some are concerned, you know, are we making rash decisions, and, you know, things are happening quickly, and they're seeing the buildings go up quickly, and, you know, there's going to be upsides and downsides to their location, and, you know, where do the double wide portables go. Our board of trustees of 7 of us in total, we postponed or canceled our February meeting, and we'll probably gather up again in March at our next regular meeting. But, you know, really our board has made no long-term decisions. Everything that has happened thus far really is emergency response, which is a purview of our district administration team that are, you know, providing education in whatever way we can do that over the next few weeks. But in terms of long-term decisions and consultation with the community, that comes later.
Okay. Yeah, because I know there's a lot of people with a lot of different opinions about what should happen. I was, one of the things that was being suggested online was, oh, we need to adopt the model where there's a single point of entry, and anybody who's coming in will have to either get buzzed in, and possibly even have a metal detector there. So I'm assuming these are ideas that have bubbled up to the board but haven't really been discussed yet.
That's right. And obviously the RCMP investigation will provide insights into that, and Safer Schools Together will provide advice in that regard. I think it's safe to say that school boards across the country and and beyond are naturally going to reconsider everything about school security, but we have to recognize that we do have advanced, complex layers of emergency response plans. I can see it posted. In each classroom, the office has some. Staff are trained in those. Students get lockdown and secure and hold drills, and we can say with confidence that the lockdown drills that our students here in Peace River South have taken part in over the last several years served us well on the most tragic of days, and we know very well that lives were saved because those students knew, as part of muscle memory, really knew what to do in that crisis. And so we have those various layers of safety and security that sometimes we forget about, like one of the ones that people forget about, it's in a big pile of papers that parents receive at the beginning of the year, the VITRA, the Violent Threat Risk Assessment, fair notice document, just to make people aware that schools do violent threat risk assessment, and those things do take place. And that's just one of many layers. We have that worrisome online behavior report that Safer Schools is monitoring social media and the web, and so sometimes we get not we, the board, but the district administration will get a report that involves students in our communities, and and then those get dealt with, and sometimes it's the RCMP might be involved, or mental health counseling might be provided, but there's a lot that goes on that I think families should know about, and understand how safety is created in schools, and I think people will be interested in that, and we'll need to talk more about it. But yeah, certainly recognize that any advice that comes out of that, the RCMP investigation or the review by Safer Schools, you can be confident school boards across the province and the country will be paying close attention to that, and considering those recommendations if there are any.
Okay. I mean, you sit on the board, and so the focus is frequently on the educational side of things, but school also provides a social outlet as well. And I know it's kind of a little bit of a, right now people are gathering in whatever ways they can. If it does wind up that it might be that the schools take a little longer to open, is there any thoughts about, for like at least for the secondary school? Like I say, here they are already opening the doors so that the elementary school students can come in and hang out with their friends. Is there any sort of consideration for the secondary school students, or is it the Tumbler Ridge Youth Services Society needs to start to open up a little early if we can find a person to work?
Sure. Yeah, I'm sure there's lots of room for everyone to take part in that. I think the basketball team that I think was playing in a tournament this weekend, I believe, did come for a practice here at TRE earlier in the week, and so yeah, certainly those opportunities to allow students back, first here into TRE and the gym here, and just be around their friends and be in a school in a safe place together. That's going to be valuable and important, and so yeah, that's been great that the team here has been offering that in the gym to start.
Say, I'm getting somebody saying that you're avoiding the security question, but it's I don't think that that's what I'm hearing. It's more that these are decisions that haven't been put into place yet. These are decisions that will have to be discussed and put into place moving forward, and they're not snap decisions that can be, because I mean, I'm gonna talk now for a bit, because it feels like you don't want, if you can, there's a you're a technologist, so you know sort of the phrases fail safe versus fail secure, right? Fail safe means that if a situation falls apart, let's say you lose the password for your iCloud account. Well, fail safe means you can call Apple and say, I've had this, and you give them a password. You give them you tell them the street where you live and what your dog's name was when you were 5 years old, and you can get back in there. Fail secure, it's a little bit like when I lost my password for my third-party authenticator. You're not getting it back in there because it's designed to be secure, right? And in the same way, there's this level of if you make it a secure place, you run the risk of losing some of those things that a school needs to be in terms of social, in terms of being a place where people feel, where they can go, or whereas the fail safe, again, these are not quite the right words for here, but if you're too open and permissive, people won't feel safe. But if you're too locked down, people will feel like they're living in a nanny state.
Yeah, obviously in other countries, particularly the one to the south of us, they have moved to metal detectors in some schools. I know that it's not all schools, but that is, they do have different security elements than we have had in Canada. I just don't want to predict what those recommendations will be as a trustee, and my personal background, I would not be the best one to provide advice on what those best investments in security and safety would be if there are changes to be made there.
Unless they were for the website.
So we need the people that are actually expert in that to give us advice so that we don't spend money on the wrong things. I don't think anybody wants us to do that. We want to invest in the things that have value. I have heard a few suggestions and ideas already floated, but again, let's get expert advice on that so that we make the best decision for students and staff and families.
Yeah, it's a little bit like, everybody, opinions are like armpits. Everybody has two different ones, right? So I suspect you're getting a lot of people, like, even again, what do we do with the building? I'm seeing people saying burn it down. I'm seeing people saying, just they're good to go back, right? They'll figure it out. We'll provide them counseling. They'll work it out. And it feels, again, sorry, I'm talking myself, but it feels like there's that issue of different people react differently. Different people need different forms of support. Different, somebody might, need to hang out with their friends. Some people need, feel safer doing the distance learning thing, right?
Yeah, and we want to meet people where they're at and provide education options that work for them. So that's certainly what we're focused on with that DL option right away. Mr. Harper's meeting with families yesterday and today here at TRE for that purpose. So we aren't what we used to be. I heard an interview with a survivor of a school shooting that took place, I think, in the 1950s or 60s, and they were in the school the next day, and there was no counseling support, and it was, just move on. Well, that's not our culture, and I think a lot of damage was probably done by that approach in those days, and we don't intend to do that sort of damage to our students and staff. So
Yeah, and it's you know, when you're in this situation, you know, there's a right approach for this group of people. Like I said, there's this right approach for this group of people, a right approach for this group of people, and they might not completely sync up. So there's this fine balance between being overly cautious and you know, right? And it feels like, you know, you're working with the experts to make sure that you're doing the best, right? We're not, and I know we want everybody to be perfect. We want the response to be perfect, but you know, at the same time, we're made of people. I myself am 100% human, and that means that I'm probably, you know, 45 to 75% failure some days, right?
Sure. Yeah. We have to be, I think, prepared for. There's going to be discomfort and uncomfortable conversations, and a lot of patience will be required as we all move forward together from this. And so we're prepared for that, and we just want to take care of people and make sure that we serve them as we can, so that we can all come out of this healthy and learning again very soon. But it will take time.
Okay. All right. Was there anything else that you wanted to get out to the community?
Oh, just again, our thanks to everyone that has done so much work to serve those that are hurting here in Tumbler Ridge, and we as the board intend to be thoughtful and careful about that, and spending lots of time here in Tumbler Ridge and meeting people and hearing from them, and providing that opportunity for feedback to the board. So I've got a couple more meetings lined up this afternoon in that regard, and look forward to spending more time here in Tumbler Ridge in the future.
All right. Perfect. That was Chad Anderson. He is the board chair for the School District 59 Trustees Board. And we thank him for taking the time to talk to us. If you do have any questions, I do have ways to contact him, so feel free to send me questions and I can pass them on to him. So thanks, everybody.